This episode is for you if you've just finished your psychology degree and you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, and not sure what to do next. Today you're going to learn how to stop panic applying, take the pressure off, and figure out a plan that works for you, not just what looks good on LinkedIn. Hi, I'm Maya. I'm an aspiring psychologist who graduated from uni with a psychology degree just last year. There was a period last year where I was feeling so overwhelmed, so anxious, and so sad that I literally cried uncontrollably, sometimes for hours, every single day for weeks on end. It felt like my world was just falling apart completely. I was heartbroken from having to leave a relationship. I was sad about not living with my best friends anymore. I was sad that some of my friends were still at uni and still having the best time and I wasn't there with them because I didn't do a placement year. It felt like I lost all structure to my life and there was just so much uncertainty. So I just want to say that if you are feeling that way, I totally empathize with you, and let me tell you that you will get through this. It's a hard time and change can be very scary and very uncertain, but it is necessary. And that leads me on to my first point, which is a mindset shift. So I have two mindset shifts that I want to quickly address before I jump into the practical steps. And I have 3 steps that I really want you to take away from this episode, just so you know exactly what to do, where to start to help you feel a bit more at ease and a bit more confident moving forward. So the first mindset shift is that you're not behind, you're just in a transitional period. I feel like a lot of graduates feel like they're falling behind or they're not doing enough because they don't have this amazing grad scheme secured, or you just start comparing yourself to everyone around you. This feeling of feeling lost or stuck, it is completely normal. It's a normal part of leaving a certain lifestyle and certain structure behind and entering a new phase of life, which can be exciting because there's so many possibilities, but also a bit overwhelming and paralyzing. But I just want you to remember that you're not behind, you're just figuring things out. Now, my second mindset shift that I want you to take to heart is that rest is productive. You've just finished a degree. You deserve to credit yourself that you've just completed a really difficult degree. And it's okay to take some time to have a break, spend some time with family and friends, whatever it is that helps you to recover from burnout, because you might have experienced burnout and a lot of stress. I know I did. So it's okay to take some time to rest. You don't have to rush into anything. And also alongside that, it's okay to grieve. Give yourself some time to mourn what you've lost if you feel like it was a loss. It might not be for everyone, but for me it definitely was. So let yourself grieve, let yourself rest. Now onto the practical steps that you can take. The first step is explore your options. Give yourself space to actually think about what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy, and actually just do some research about what's out there. Aside from the typical paths like clinical psychology and forensic psychology, there's so much more that you can do with your degree. Now, if you are keen to explore the clinical psychology route and you just don't know where to start, if you don't have any experience, I would start off with one of those teaching assistant jobs. Loads of recruiting agencies are looking for psychology graduates specifically to help with students at schools who have some kind of learning disabilities or have ADHD or autism spectrum disorder, all these different things. Another thing you can look into is mental health support worker roles. Those are all really good starting points if you want to build up that clinical experience that you need for the clinical psychology path. If you do already have some experience, or you just want to go straight into assistant psychologist posts, you can do that. If you're planning to do that, check out my episode about how I landed an AP interview, and that will give you my biggest, most valuable tips about how to write your AP applications, which will hopefully be very useful for you. Now, if you want to explore something different, I would recommend definitely having a look at other options. You could go down the academic route, the research route. You could be a research assistant. You could look into like coaching and counseling. if clinical psychology specifically isn't for you, maybe you don't really like research, or you just think that the route is just way too competitive, which I get, then maybe look into other options like counseling or CBT therapy or PWP roles or CAP roles. I have a whole video of different jobs that you can do to build up your clinical experience, and you can go down different avenues from that. And there's also other healthcare areas like speech and language therapy, occupational therapy, physiotherapy. Maybe you want to go down a completely different healthcare route. Or maybe you don't want to do healthcare at all. You don't want to work with patients. And maybe you want to go into design psychology, maybe marketing, social media, business. I know someone who went straight into law, a law conversion course. Maybe you want to start something creative, something like a side project or a passion project that you've always wanted to try, but just never had the time or the courage to do it. Maybe now is your chance to experiment with something different. So when you're exploring your different options, there are a couple questions that I want you to ask yourself to help you narrow down your options and identify what it is that you might want to try next. Because the reason that we're doing all this is to start off wide and then narrow down to the next step that you want to be focusing on. So the questions that I want you to ask yourself are things like, are you okay with emotional labor? So what I mean by that is how emotionally and psychologically demanding it is to work in mental health, to support people that have been through traumatic experiences. And as psychology graduates, that's something that you probably have already considered. How do you feel about helping people emotionally and dealing with really tough situations? Is it something that you would find quite meaningful and rewarding, or is it something that you feel like you wouldn't be able to handle, or it's just not for you? Another question is, what kind of people do you want to work with in terms of patients or clients, like the people that you're going to be dealing with on a regular basis in the job, as well as people around you, like your co-workers and your team? What kind of people do you want to be surrounded by? Another one is, what kind of problems do you find yourself caring most about? It doesn't have to be your biggest passion in life or your purpose, just a topic that you feel quite strongly about. And where do you feel like the best version of you? Is it in structured roles, or is it more in creative work? Is it in one-to-one connection in like the therapy room? Or is it more in groups, big teams? Start to explore what kind of things you enjoy, what you're good at, what you feel like you can thrive in. And my last question is, what do you enjoy doing, regardless of whether it sounds impressive? Okay, I know it's hard, but we have to get rid of the white noise sometimes and really focus in on what we want. So one way to think about this is, if everyone thought what you wanted to do was the best idea ever, what would you do? And just remember, you're allowed to explore and you're allowed to change your mind. Okay, the next step that we're going to take is, after you've explored all these different options, started really broad, I want you to brainstorm all the things you want to do at some point soon. So it could be in the next year or 2 years or 3 years. What are some different options that you're considering? And just write them all down. Because if you're anything like me, there might be a lot of noise going on in your head, and there might be loads of different things that you want to try, or maybe there's nothing that you want to do. Then I would encourage you to just still write down maybe 3-4 things that you're okay with doing, and just start there. But the point of this is to just brain dump everything that is in your head, all the different options. So it could be like, you want to travel, you want to get clinical work experience, you want to start your own business, start a YouTube channel. Maybe you've been thinking about doing law, so you want to do a course on law. Maybe you want to just spend time enjoying your hobbies or spending time with family and friends. Just all the different things that you want to spend time focusing on in the next few months or a year. And then step number 3, choose the one step that you're going to take. Just the one that you're going to focus on. I want you to ask yourself, what matters to me right now? Because there might be loads of things that you want to do, and that is completely normal and completely fine, but you can't do everything all at once. And please, this is the mistake that I made. So if you take anything away from this, this is my one piece of advice that I want to give to you is focus on one thing at a time, whether that's for the next few weeks, the next few months, or the next year. You will feel so much more at peace and less anxious, less overwhelmed if you have one specific priority, one focus. It doesn't mean that you can't do other things around that, but as long as you have that number one priority in mind, it will be much easier for you to take a step back and think, okay, there's loads of things that I'm missing out on, quote unquote. But my focus right now for the next 3 months is saving money. So that is my priority, no matter what else there is I should be doing, quote unquote, or I could be doing. So what is it that matters to you right now? Not your parents, not your friends, not your course mates. What step feels energizing or most helpful or just a necessity? Like saving money because you can't afford rent, that is a priority. Like we need to cover our basics first. But maybe for you it's travel and recovery from burnout, and you just want to go enjoy life for the next 6 months and travel to Asia or whatever it is. Figure out what that next step is for you. And this helps you move from feeling stuck to having a grounded focus. For example, for me, the first few months out of uni, my main priority was to find a job and save money. Now, I tried to do loads of different things at once and couldn't really decide because I also wanted to gain loads of clinical experience and have an AP role straight away and all these different things. But actually, when it came down to it, my main priority was to save money. Now, my priority is to go travel and spend some time by myself. So that's what I'm doing. I've quit my job and now I'll be going to Australia. And you know what? It was only when I actually made that step of, okay, I'm going to go to Australia now. This is my priority now. And I had to reject my master's offers. I had to accept that I'm not going to be doing an AP role for another year, most likely. And I'm going to miss out on seeing my friends, and I'll have to quit this job that I currently have and I enjoy. All these different things. But this is my priority right now. Having that just helps my mind be a bit more clear and helps me align the rest of my decisions with that focus. Now, the last step, number 4, the kind of bonus step, is for anyone that's feeling really overwhelmed and anxious right now. Create a grounding routine. And this can be very simple. It can be 1 or 2 steps in the morning, 1 step in the evening. Just something to keep you grounded in some kind of structure, some kind of rhythm. I think with losing so much structure that comes with uni, it can be hard to feel grounded and feel like you have some kind of purpose every day. And I'm not saying that a morning routine will create purpose for you, but it will give you a sense of structure that helps you feel a little bit more grounded. So for example, for me, my morning routine for quite a while now actually has been so I wake up in the morning and I'll wash my face straight away, brush my teeth, and then I'll meditate. Actually, I didn't do that today. But yeah, I'll try most of the time to meditate, and I try to move my body in some way because I know that for me, that really impacts my mood positively. It really gives me energy for the day. An extra little thing that I sometimes do that really lifts my mood is getting ready with some music. I love putting my AirPods in and acting like there's no one else in the house and just dancing in the kitchen or in my bedroom, getting ready. It's just the best feeling, and just pretending like no one is watching. I love it. And then my night routine, I try to get off screens. I try to not have any screens for the last half an hour to an hour before bedtime. I'll wash my face again, and then I'll read a fictional book, just a really light read that I just really enjoy, and it's just quite nice and relaxing. Yeah, so that's my evening routine. Yours can be completely different, but for me, what I've noticed is just the improvements in mood, in my energy, and how grounded it helps me feel throughout the day. Because if I start my day off just scrolling on Instagram, like getting out of bed at a really late time, then it feels like I have no day left. And then I just feel really shit at the end of it because it feels like I didn't do anything for me. And even if that means just exercising in the morning, like even if it's not, oh my God, I found a job or I've done 10 applications, it still makes me feel like I'm doing something productive. Because I think it is. Like, self-care is productive. And another thing is really protect your brain from the media that you're consuming, the social media that you're consuming, especially like LinkedIn, Instagram. I just remember last year constantly seeing like people posting like their graduation results or like the jobs that they got or the grad scheme that they got, all these different things. And it was honestly at one point, like knowing for me that I do want to pursue clinical psychology, I want to give that route a go. I was at one point questioning whether I should go down the corporate route and get a grad scheme and like, be like a corporate baddie for a bit. It was just because I was comparing myself to all these other peers who were doing that, and it felt like they had it all figured out. They were earning a lot, all these different stories that I was telling myself, but it's just not productive. It's not good for us to constantly be on social media scrolling and comparing ourselves. If you do find yourself feeling jealous from seeing something on social media, I think it's always worth reframing that to ask yourself, okay, what does this mean for me? What is it that they have that I want? And then actually start to analyze whether it is something that you want. And one recommendation I have to try and control your social media consumption is this app called 1sec. It basically just gets you to take a breath every time you open Instagram or whatever app that you set it on, and it just gives you like those few extra seconds to think about, do I actually want to go on this app? What am I getting out of it? And it just makes it a bit more intentional. So that's my recommendation if you're feeling very overwhelmed and really comparing yourself. And I have one more mindset shift for you before I wrap this up. And that is, you don't have to feel confident in order to take action. I feel like a lot of graduates, including me when I graduated, think, oh, I'm not ready for this. I'm not good enough yet. I'm not smart enough. I have no idea what I'm doing or where I'm going. Listen, welcome to your 20s, baby. That is just completely normal. You won't always feel ready, probably for the next decade. And that's okay. But clarity and confidence often comes from doing, not thinking. Because how can you feel confident in something that you've never done before? If you've never had this job before, if you've never done this course before, how are you meant to feel confident? You're not going to. But you have to do it anyway. You get confident over time with practice and with experience. I don't feel confident even recording this episode. I actually procrastinated for maybe 5 hours because I was scared that this wasn't going to be perfect. But then I thought, okay, imperfect action is better than no action. So what you want to do is take small steps. Apply to one job today. Reach out to that one person on LinkedIn. Try doing something without any expectations. And just remember that confidence builds after action, not before. And yeah, if you're feeling really lost and lonely right now, you're not doing anything wrong. You don't need to figure out everything this month or even this year. Just stay open and curious and just focus on that one next step. You're not falling behind, you're just growing. It's so natural to feel lost when you lose your community. You lose that regular contact that you had with your peers. Maybe you're losing independence because you're moving back home. And I think it's Mel Robbins that calls this kind of period of time in our 20s the great scattering, where you just see we all leave this really structured education that we've had so far in life, and everyone just goes into such different directions. And if you start comparing yourself to all these different directions, you're going to become anxious and overwhelmed. But really, no direction is right or wrong. If you are feeling really low about this whole transitional period, then maybe try and join groups like Facebook groups or on LinkedIn. Maybe some psychology graduates who are going through similar things and are having similar doubts. Or even just reconnecting with your course mates or your home friends. And another thing you can do is ask for help. Just because you studied psychology doesn't mean that you're immune to burnout, stress, anxiety, depression, or any other mental health difficulty, okay? And this took me a while to actually accept for myself. I started therapy in January this year, and it genuinely helped me so much. You're allowed to not feel okay and to reach out for support. You've got this. I believe in you. Remember that this period, although it's tough and feels very uncertain, it will not last. You will eventually get into your own rhythm and you will find your feet and you'll be okay. So if this episode helped you at all, then share it with another graduate who might be struggling. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. Be kind to yourself. I love you lots. Bye. Speak to you in the next one.